It's Hornby Magazine's Great Electric Train Show 2022. And if you look at the bottom right hand corner, you can see my brother. We start the show with Hornby Magazine's 009 layout, Fairlie Syniad Dark. Translator's fairly good idea. Here we see Princess pulling some coaches around the layout. It's sound fitted, and I do wonder how on earth they managed to get sound in that tiny little loco. The layout was built as part of the magazine's YouTube channel by Mike and Richard. It demonstrates the advantages of 009. Its smaller footprint, which is similar to that of N-Gauge, as it uses the same style track of 9mm, demonstrates how much you can get in a small space, yet still modelling in double low gauge, so you don't have the constraints of ice that N-Gauge brings. We're now on the other side of the layout as Princess passes through the station. I really like the station lighting. It definitely makes it feel very cosy on this side of the layout. Hornby Magazine brought two layouts to the show this year, and this is Quorn, Magna and Swithland Sidings, which is based on the Great Central Railway. Here we can see a castle class running around the layout. The loco has been fitted with smoke generator, which comes out the front, and the drain coils. The layout was at the show last year, but was in a more of an unfinished state. Now it's been completed, and it looks more brilliant.
But I mean, this liquid lasts forever. I suppose they get more heavy use in an exhibition out because we're always stopping and starting them and whatnot. I mean, they were about to kill this loco.
Following the castle round, we come to the other side of the layout as it pulls into the station. The layout makes great use of Backmanship craft buildings, which are obviously based on Great Central buildings on the actual railway. If you look closely, you might be able to spot Richard on the platform. As the castle passes through the station, on the other line we have an X-Rod 280 freight locomotive passing through on a demonstration freight.
Morning. You alright? Good to see you got a Delta Gone today, is what I like. Oh really? Oh okay. We had this yesterday though, didn't we? To be fair. Is it the dual-scale one? Yes. No, because I've got one reasonable, to be fair. It's not a terrible model.
There's plenty to see on the layout, and it really does have that feel of a preserved railway. Loughborough Midland is based on the real-life location, and here we can see a Class 31 interdepartmental livery shunting around in the sidings.
It's time for me, so I'll convert more wagons so that instead of being in large groups, it'll be in 2s and 3s.
So it's usually electro Magna.
A short while later, an hired-in GNER power car runs through with a Midland Mainline Express, whilst in the opposite direction, another Midland Mainline HST heads towards the station. A little while later, we see the same GNER power car on another service running through the station. In the distance, a Class 08 shunter can be seen working the sidings, whilst the Class 31 takes a rest.
Sorry? You don't know where it is?
I know where it is.
No, you do, sorry.
No, I've only been once.
And for our final shot, a Midland Mainline Turbo Star calls at Loughborough Midland.
Thank you. I've got 3.
Next is Allerby, an O-gauge lap. Here we can see a Class 20 with a rake of rail-painted wagons moving towards the sidings. Really do like that rail-freight livery. That's probably just nostalgia for me.
Yeah, I've got a red stripe one, and one that's exactly the same as this one. But Elliot was saying I need to get the red stripe one weathered because that one's filthy, and the red stripe one is pristine.
Yeah.
So it's going to look a bit odd, quality together. But these look really good.
Well, I mean, a perfect works the same way as this.
Yeah, because they used to run them with all different liveries, no one really cared.
Yeah, but one's really clean, one's very dirty.
Yeah. I like that. That must be a kit, is it?
It's a BR blue shape nose.
Is that the one that someone asked about that on Facebook then, did they?
I think so, yeah.
At the other end of the layout, we see the coal drops and a Class 08 shunter resting in the head shunt, whilst the Class 20 driver must be, well, a little concerned, as he's obviously hammering the brakes in for the speed he's coming into this side. Some very skilled driving there. Next is Making Tracks 2, led by some chap called Pete Walton. Well, I haven't heard of him either. Anyway, it's based on the West Coast main line at various locations combined together in a 64-foot long layout. Here we see today's mainstay of the West Coast main line, some Avanti livery Pendolinos running along the mains. Climbing up the bank, we see a Class 25 pulling a breakdown crane and support coaches. I suspect the crane is a Hornby model, but it's been heavily modified to look like a diesel-powered crane rather than the steam one that the model is based on. This is the chap who owns the layout, by the way, if you recognise him. No idea, really. As a Pride liveried Pendolino heads along the main line, we hear the whistle of the world's most famous steam engine. Flying Scotsman comes thundering along the tracks. As you would expect, there's never a dull moment on this layout, and here we can see a DB Schenker Class 66 with a rake of aviation fuel tanks. In the top right hand corner, just by the bridge, you might see a white flashing light, and this is something I've never seen modelled on a layout before, and it's an emergency speed indicator. These are used when obviously there's a speed restriction on the line, but it hasn't had time to be published, so it's been put in last minute. These things also have the slang nicknames of Dalek or Metal Mickey. The Seed model is brilliant. It's all those little details that count. Next we see the early privatisation era HST as it wears its intercity colours with the splash of Virgin Trains livery in the middle of the coaches. From one HST to another, we see the Midland Pullman coming in the other direction. And that blue really is striking on that day.
Oh yeah.
It's got one, yes.
Coming up from behind the bank is a Freightliner Class 70, Hollings a rake of empty hoppers.
You want these coming now?
Whilst on the main line, a Hornby APT is put to good use. That does look good. Whilst the Class 70 slowly continues its journey in the opposite direction, climbing the bank is a load haul Class 60 working some fuel tanks. As the Class 60 climbs the bank, on the main line is a Class 86 Virgin Trains livery loco thunders by with an express. On the slow line behind the bank, another Class 86 makes its climb with the Royal Mail train. It's shortly chased down by a Virgin Voyager. And we finish our visit at Making Tracks 2 with a pair of DRS Class 20s on a nuclear flask. Next we come to Whiteacres, which I think was probably my favourite layout at the exhibition. I really enjoyed this one. I like the bridges all passing over each other, the depth it sort of gives. There's no really flat baseboard here, and I do like that style of modelling. and I do wonder how they built it as a modular layout put together for exhibition. It can't be an easy achievement, but it looks great. Here we can see a regional railways livery Class 37 pulling into the station. On the lower level of the layout is a small quay that's been modelled to show an aggregate terminal. Here we can see a mainline livery Class 08 moving along the line. I really like how this is modelled. The still water's great and the reflection of the logo in it looks perfect. Back on the high level, when a Virgin liveried Voyager runs towards the station, whilst passing underneath is 66084 in EWS livery with a rake of engineering coaches. Whilst the driver of the 66 waits for the signal, on the high level an MPV passes over the bridges. We now come to Howbrooke, and another unusual sight to be modelled, where we see a Colas liveried Class 37 hauling a very grubby and very sorry looking Class 60. If he's taking it to Stratford to be refurbished, that's anyone's guess. A short while later, Network Rail's Class 950 measuring unit is seen approaching the station.
Can you just pause with that? Just there a sec.
Say when.
A bit further forward. I want to just be on.
Our final spot at Howbrooke is Class 66747 in GBR Rail Freight NWT livery as it holds a rake of empty stone.
It's in the top shelf.
We now visit Lob Ghyll as a parade of ex-War Department locomotives make their way on freight workings across the layout. A short while later, and a Jubilee makes its way with a working of 4 coaches through the station and past the level crossing. Some real nice modelling around this station area. I like the little waiting shelter that's built up on the stone pillar. And the pub next to the crossing is quite good too. Next is Fen Lane, and we see Class 27001 on a working of rail freight wagons as it shuts around the sidings. Next is East Dock, which is 4 metre scale. Here we can see an LNER Y3 shunting around the docks. The docks is not based on any particular location, and it is implied that the LMS and LNER have running rights to use the docks.
From different villages, but the individual items are absolutely 100% to scale.
It's a charming little layout, and there's obviously plenty of action to be had on here. Lots of shunting to be done, and lots of details to look at.
I don't think so.
Just a bit temperamental at times.
Yeah,
Needs a bit of a clean up and a bit of TLC.
Yeah. You want to pick up that?
Pick up that one. And, well, I'm going to join them up and then I'll leave them there. Then I'll use the other engine to clear out the...
Next is Gravesdown South. Here we can see a Class 101 in Network South East livery awaiting its passengers in the station, whilst in the depot, a Class 52 can be seen waiting to move off. There's lots of action going on in the town, plenty of vehicles moving about, and the garage is well stocked. On the depot, a Class 52 Western can be seen doing a light engine movement as it moves towards the fueling point. A short while later, and another light engine movement as a Class 24 heads towards the station.
I said to him, I said, am I going to need lighting for these? Yeah, it's a bit low, sometime.
Next is a motive power depot, and it's Hollybank Grove. Here we can just see a B1 hiding behind the shed. The shed doesn't have a roof. I don't know why, but it's nice to see inside. Hollybank Grove is based very loosely on York South Shed. Track work is all Pico Code 100 with live frog points. Seat point motors are used throughout, except for the storage yard, which has two old H&M motors. The layout is 14 foot by 2 foot in its present format, but another 5 foot extension is planned. Here we see another Thompson B1 making a move towards the rear of the shed. Next is a small shunting layout, Fawcett Street. The layout is very compact, but with the amount of points in there, there's definitely a lot of potential for doing some shunting. We move on to another compact layout. Scenically wise, Greenford Broadway is very small, all enclosed in a very small boxed area. Here we can see a London Transport battery locomotive moving towards the shed.
just remember, I think it was early 80s, I did it. What's the problem? So we had menus on it, say Holden. They got ours and we got theirs. And waved that for. For itself, don't worry.
Next is the St Neots Model Railway Club's East Quay layout. Definitely of the Great Western fame, as we see a small prairie come from the storage yard to shunt on the quay.
Will it? Yeah. Which place out on 2010?
No, I tried that last time, it wouldn't do any good.
Let's just throw across with a bit of vigour.
This small layout contains a lot of detail. I really like the fishing nets and boxes left by the quayside. So much to spot. The exhibitors were also very friendly, and I do appreciate the time they took out to try and convince my dad to join their club. So go on, Dad, give them a go.
This is a little bit more, it does, but this will be converted to a DC. So what you've got to remember is that it was originally built with secondary railways, so it's a bit hit and miss. But this, I mean, someone else built this layout and donated it to the club, and we refused to drill holes in it. Yeah. So we make do. Yeah. Keep cleaning things.
Next is Bottom Works Sidings. Here we find a Class 08 arranging some brake vans.
I sort of work bottom one.
I like the grey back scene. It's definitely more of a natural feel than the bright blue skies you often see on model railways. Because let's face it, most days in this country are usually clouded over, so it really does add to the realism. There's definitely a winter feel with the dead trees in the background and the foreground.
How many times have you been asked that to do? So the second time this week.
After coupling up to an additional brake van, the 08 moves.
I'll say no more. Okay. All right.
So that's the bottom signal, is it?
Yes. No, this is the big top one.
Next is Farbine Road, Wagon Repair Depot. I once saw this layout at the Warwick and Leamington Spa show back in 2020. I think it was the last show I managed to see before, well, let's not talk about that. Here we see a rail freight, a large logo grey liveried Class 20 moving off with two coaches from the station. Probably a DMU replacement service. Next is Collingwood. Collingwood's a very interesting now, as it's operated on a version based on real-life cycling IECC. This type of signalling is what most of the modern day signalling centres work on. It's all computer controlled and is usually either track circuit or axle counter based. Here is the same principle. The trains activate the track circuits and the signalling system follows the same procedures as it would in real life. The layout has even incorporated a very small signalling centre based on what an IECC workstation looks like.
Yeah, the only problem is that
here we can see the South West trains, class 450, arriving at the station.
I'm not quite sure how to re-signal. Yes.
Their system is very much like the real life thing. It's quite impressive to see. While the South West Trains does its station duties, the Network Rail MPV leaves in the other direction.
Yeah,
And we leave Collingwood as the Class 450 departs the station over the harbour.
Yeah. So lots of lines drive with signalling, and it's also passing information from the load
Next is Sydney Gardens, based on the real life Sydney Gardens in Bath. And it's an absolute perfect representation in my opinion. Detail and accuracy hasn't been compromised for viewing. As you can see here, when this small prairie passes with a goods train, it basically disappears out of shot behind the trees. But that's what adds to the realism of the layout. At different times of day at the show, you can see different eras of rolling stock. Here we get GBRF Class 66 working a ballast train through Sydney Gardens. A short while later, at the mainstay of the GWR fleet, a Hitachi Class 800 passes by towards Bristol. Now we're at Okenshaw, and here's a Class 24 with an additional brake tender on the front, passing by on an oil train as it runs around the layout. I really enjoy the town scene below the viaduct. It's very pleasing, and it's so compacted in. It looks just right.
Well, some of the buildings are actually based on Holmford, because when we took a previous layout to exhibit in Holmford, and the oldest club layout.
Next is the Bully Diesel 10202, passing by on a passenger wagon. Next, in the opposite direction, we see a Class 28 on the Commodore Freight. You can just glimpse on the houses, but they are cut open so you can see all the detailed rooms inside.
We're not going to do anything
A short while later, and a van working passes by, following the Class 28. In the opposite direction, a Class 40 comes through with a passenger working.
I know we've got the Wakefield bits one, we've got Wakefield's in it. So Shrewsbury's next to Wakefield. Okenshaw on
We move on to the Somerset Railway Modelers Club, Bow gauge layout, Bradford-on-Tone. Here we can see a Class 25 moving Linden Manor to its new home at the Dart Valley Railway. Bradford-on-Tone is situated between Taunton and Wellington in rural Somerset. It is set in the late 1960s to the early 1970s, when the diesel hydraulics ruled the west of England mainland. The local MP lived in the village, which may have had a bearing on the station remaining open. On the opposite line we see a Western Class 52 diesel hydraulic thundering by an express. Following the Western is a Class 22 on a china clay working, as it slowly trundles through the station.
This is a visitor announcement. Robert Wilshire, you are the winner of the 12:30 hourly prize draw. Please visit the Hornby Magazine stand to claim your prize. And a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the show closes at 4 p.m. today, so there was a little over 3 hours to take advantage of the best ever subscription offer for Hornby Magazine.
As the china clay working disappears out of sight, a Western comes by in the opposite direction on a mixed freight.
That's saving you over £80 on the recommended retail price. So visit the stand today and take advantage of that special offer. Thank you.
I have to ask, if you go to Somerset, why not with Bradford? It's that Bradford. Yes.
not the one everyone first thinks of.
Makes a lot more sense. Where is it? I lived in Bath for a few years.
And now it's Engage, the Spirit of Swindon. I particularly enjoyed this layout because Swindon was the first signal box I worked, so it's always great to see how it used to look before its rationalisation. I also enjoy looking at the actual signal boxes on the layout and seeing what was there before being replaced by Swindon Panel in 1968. Of course, if you want to see my model of Swindon Panel, then click the link above and you can see how I created that model. Here we see a Class 22 passing through the station in the middle road.
Makes sense at the time, but when they got it still as a
It's very detailed. Very detailed.
That's for the signal. Let's put it here. We'll send it in a minute.
A little while later, and a maroon warship thunders through the middle roads towards Bristol. As the warship disappears out of sight, in the opposite direction we see a pair of Highlands on a passenger boat. Next is the Earl gauge layout Witham. Class 47 pulls into the station with some Pullman coaches, passing the opposite direction. A rail bus leaves towards the tunnel.
Yeah. No, it's not listening to us. 5.
The layout makes good use of 1 in 40 gradients in the small space that it is. The main lines drop, as you can see here, and the branch lines climb, therefore reducing the amount of climb and drop that each line needs to pass over each other. It works very well. The Aero Class 128 parcels unit departs for the branch line. The station is kept very busy as a Class 25 arrives with passenger working, and in the opposite direction a Class 117 DMU arrives in the opposite platform.
Oh, you've got it going. Oh, yeah. I think it's because it's gone past. Possible.
DCC.
Engage again, and this time it's Roxby Town, as we see a Freightliner Class 66 departing with a scrap working as it passes round the back of the station.
Still running, but they're into school.
Whilst the Northern Rail Class 156 makes its station duties, a cross-country Voyager thunders through on its journey towards its destination.
So you're going to get diesel or steam haulage or whatever?
Yeah, they do steam.
Right. Somebody came yesterday, they've been on the steam engine.
Yeah.
Well, they're going round on the 5th of November as well.
I don't know. I've been round a couple of times and now I don't bother.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's good though.
We move on to Beckwick as the Brighton Bell EMU arrives at the station. Beckwick has been presented by the Beckingham and West Wickham Model Railway Club. Built to exhibition standards by a multitude of club members under the direction of their chairman, Greg Marshall. The layout is to OO gauge using Pico Code 100 track and its digital command control. Beckwick is a fictitious location in southern England around 40 miles from London. The railway opened during the mid-1880s, and during the Big Four era, electrification came to the area, giving a faster electric service to London. There's plenty of action going on in the station, and here we can see a Class 08 shunter moving some vans around, before the departure of the 4-step unit in the opposite direction. The era which it covers is from the mid-1950s to the mid to late 1960s stroke early 1970s on British Railway's southern region, and covers the transition from steam to diesel and electric in the first two periods. Another real-life location, and this time by Chris Morris, it's an N-gauge layout of Dawlish Warren. Here, passenger trains cross each other as a Western thunders by and a Heimlich runs in the opposite direction.
Thank you.
At the Class 101 DMU departure station, we can see the camping coaches in the disused sidings by the side of the line. Although only a small layout, with its use of remote control technology, the yard is a very action-packed layout. There's a working crane, moving lorries, and of course the trains move.
Don't go. Set alarm.
I did have to get a license to do this.
We move on to Halland, as we see a Class 2 arriving in the station with the passenger working. For a little branch line, there seems to be plenty of action going on, as shortly following the passenger train is a Beckwick 040 on some empty mineral wagons. The train arrives at the station and soon after departs again. I was a little concerned that it was going over the points at the same time the locomotive was shunting its coaches back, but that could just be the signal. After shunting its coaches to run round, the locomotive is prepared by the fireman as he stokes the fire. I really like this. The sound's playing, which I'm talking over, and the light is flickering. Fantastic effects. And the final outlet of the show I saw was Gare De Brindille, which is obviously based on the front lines in the First World War, and we see a petrol-powered simplex shunting in the yard. If you've liked this video, then please click the like button. If you want to see more, then please click the subscribe button. And hopefully, I'll catch you again next time. Thanks for watching.